You hear a ringing in your ears?
Always. But
Okay.
that's because of the Salvation Army ringing bells outside of all the stores.
Oh, that's true. Well, it is the time of year bells are ringing quite a bit. Yeah.
It is.
And ringing in New Year's. There's all sorts of ringing going on. But luckily, you are in a ring-free zone, and welcome to Total Pebble Knockdown. That's got to be our new marketing, is a ring-free zone.
Nobody asking you for change here?
Nobody asking you for change, or really anything here on the show. Welcome to a new year, first episode of the new year, in fact. And
welcome to 2022. I bet you
twos.
didn't think you'd make it.
And who knows? Will we make it through this one? Who knows? We're still working that out.
Been a long 6 months
It's
since 2019.
Yes, it certainly has. This year has gone on for a decade. And so, we were gonna do a special for you for the holidays, because we do normally do that. Unfortunately, a boulder came along.
Well, you say normally,
Yes.
but this is only episode 14.
Right. Sorry.
So nothing is normal for us.
That's very true. I'm sorry. In previous shows that we had done, we would do a holiday episode. However, when we tried to do one on this episode, a boulder rolled down and smushed it. It got knocked down by a pebble.
There's a song about that.
Totally. Yeah. So. Oh yeah, Grandma got run over by a pebble.
Oh god.
Grandma got run over by a pebble.
I was thinking of I got knocked down, but I got up again.
Oh, you get up again? Yeah. I thought that for a second it might be something by the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stone gathers no moss, but we do because wow.
Yeah. Anyway, this intro's gone on too long, so we're gonna just move right
Okay,
in.
you can probably just edit that all out. It's all good.
Most of this isn't going to be something you need to hear. Point is, we have hit a new year, and
I thought you were gonna say a new low.
we've hit a new low in a new year. Those two things are not mutually
At this
exclusive.
point in the new year, this is the high point.
Yeah, that's true. We can only go up or down from here. So,
One or the other, not both, and preferably only up.
preferably only up. Well, you know what they say about hopes. Anyway,
They make Pixar movies out of them.
Yep, we're gonna get a Pixar movie this year, and it's literally just gonna be called Hope. And people will go, oh, remember the innocent times when we saw a Pixar movie and thought, yeah, it could be like that.
It'll be Hope the Final Frontier.
Oh, A New Hope.
It's not space.
A newest hope. So, anyway, today in Weekly Muse, it is indeed a new year, and that means that everybody gets to start making New Year's resolutions. And
Oh boy.
yeah, isn't that fun? And we are no different, but we are kind of
Extremely
modified.
different.
We are going to modify this segment a little bit, though. So we present New Year's resolutions we might plan on keeping this time. No promises. And so, we don't want to commit too hard to anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never.
No. If we committed too hard to something, we might end up doing 300 episodes of a show. Anyway, so Alex, you've been thinking a little bit recently, maybe with eggnog, I'm not sure. Reflecting back on your life. No. That's a no. Okay, never mind. But going into 2022, did you have any new resolutions or changes that you were thinking about making?
For my life or for like the
for just-
podcast?
For anything.
I generally don't make resolutions. That's not typically something I do because I generally don't keep them.
That is very typical, actually. Most people don't keep their New Year's resolutions past about, like, I think they said 1 or 2 months.
Well, a lot of people, I feel like, tend to make resolutions about their health or their weight or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it generally goes well for the first couple weeks, I guess, and then it falls off really fast.
Right. Some of that is because it starts to be... Whatever your goals were, you were very ambitious at the start, and then you realize that it's not, like, sustainable long-term, because it's a big change for you to make. I saw a CGP Grey video, though, one time, where he was talking about the idea of not making resolutions, but, like, having a theme for your year. Theme. Yeah, like, if you say, this year's theme is health, for instance. And so, when you go and do stuff, you kind of just think, like, does this match with the theme for the year of, like, trying to improve your health? And so, it kind of just leads you in that direction without making, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then trying to hit check marks.
That's fair. I like that. Instead of New Year's resolutions, it's New Year themes.
New Year themes, yeah. We can do New Year themes.
If I were going to do a theme, it would either be for more gaming, like not just computer gaming.
Oh, sure.
Like more tabletop stuff, because I do have a D&D game now that I'm playing, or DMing, so that. But I think a better theme for my New Year would be to work on creativity stuff.
Okay. So you have kind of like a theme of creativity. Creativity is going to be your thematic 2022.
Yeah, I have
Year of creativity.
A bunch of things I'd like to get done, or like to work on.
Sure.
So if I could work on those, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, year of creativity. Yeah. That seems like a good idea. I mean, I think we're all trying to be a little bit more creative in most of the things that we're doing anyway. I mean, trying to at least knock out the time and have, like, the energy to do it.
Energy is a big one for me, especially because I work overnights.
Yeah, time frames are definitely a tricky one for you. But who knows? So now when you have a moment and you're thinking about what you want to do, just start thinking about your theme of creativity for the year.
Yeah.
And then you'll work on that.
You know what we need to do sometime, Nathan? We need to do a segment or an entire show about different methods and helpful tips for people to create and do things, and like, hey, maybe tips for people that have like ADHD or other things that are making it difficult for you. I think it'd be great to have some people on who could help talk about some of those things.
Like when you have trouble letting things go, or you have an OCD or something to that effect.
Letting things go sounds more like you need
a song. Like, I'm out in the woods right now, as you can see from my background
Disney
here.
musical.
Yeah, actually, my snowy landscape that I am currently behind on this really does fit very well for, basically, I'm in Frozen.
No, I just mean for, like, creativity type stuff, for, like, writer's block, or executive dysfunction, or, like, maybe you have a hard time, like, personally, my thing is, I have an incredibly hard time getting anything from my brain out onto paper, or written down, or into any format that is not in my brain.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually a pretty common occurrence. I have a little bit of that too. Just that it's that kind of thing, right, where you have like, oh, this would be great stuff to make, but I don't know when or how.
Yeah. Well, anyways, TLDR, you can cut this part if you want to, because it's a little rambly off topic, but I think it'd be great to have some something at some point, like tricks to being able to do some of these things a little easier for people.
That would be useful for us as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure it would. So theme of creativity, okay, very good. Any particular things that you were gonna hopefully do this year?
Well, again, I do have my D&D game with Crave and my son, and potentially one other person. They don't flake on us. So I'm teaching newbies how to play D&D and relearning how to DM after a very long time of not doing it with modules, so it's way different. So I'm learning how to run a module. But for creativity, like I do from doing this and from some other stuff, I have an idea for like either a D&D campaign or a D&D setting I would like to work on. Potentially,
Sure.
like even just a theme or like a world or something like that.
Okay.
So I'd love to be able to work in that. There's some stuff for TPK that I'd love to do as well that we've talked about.
Yeah.
So being able to be creative in those aspects and to work on to work on things that either I or we want to work on and get them done and look at them and be like, wow.
You want to become Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to become the Minecraft guy. Wow.
Who did that in Minecraft? Was that those are the little villagers? Are they the ones that make that sound? I can't remember.
Something like that. They don't make wow, but they sound like that.
Yeah, I know. They do the Yeah.
Huh.
You can see how much I play Minecraft.
Not enough. Also, throwback to things that I missed completely when we were talking about beta games and early access games. Minecraft is one I got in beta.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Back when it was still in beta. So
there is that. Yeah. Yeah. So I think my theme is more retrospective. I was going to try and go back and look at things again a little bit more than I had. So one of the goals that I had this year is to go back to some of the stuff that I had played previously and just look at it again, do a little bit of secondary analysis on it, and just see if any of that was genuine or if... Or if it was actually that good, because sometimes I'll play things that either weren't good, or I didn't like, or I just thought were mediocre, and then you'll come back to it a little bit later and wonder if that was actually maybe better than you thought, or if you played something and you were at the time thought this is great, and then you get it back in your hands and realize, no, this doesn't hold up. This does not hold up at all. This is not good. So I was thinking about that. I did want to try and do some more revamping of some of the old ideas that we had and try and do something a little bit different with them, because we had kind of thrown a lot of things at the wall over a few years.
We were talking about that just before we started recording too, yeah.
Yeah. Threw a lot of stuff at the wall, and some of it had merit, but not necessarily worked in the form that it was presented.
Yeah, and some of it was kind of stuff we had great ideas about, or we think that were great, fun ideas, that we just never got around to.
Right.
Like Bear Tank.
Like Bear Tank, or Power Surge, which was a really interesting...
Power Surge. Power
Outage.
Power
Outage, yeah.
Whatever.
Or Surge. Surge, I was like, ooh, Surge, that sounds fun. But, like, yeah, re-reviews I thought had ideas, had something going for it. Like, when I would do these little side things, some of them I felt like maybe they aren't, like, full things, but it seems like there's some merit to them. And so seeing if there's anything that I can work with from what we had done before, or if it's just time to let them die slow deaths. So, again, kind of that retrospective thing, looking at what was there and see what is supposed to be salvageable and what is not.
Yeah.
More that kind of thematic thing. So probably in whatever free time I actually have, being able to go back, look at some of the old things. I've even been, like, in recent days, looking at some of my old videos that I did from the previous channel, and saying, oh yeah, that was good. There might have been something there, but I guess this doesn't really work in the form that it was, or it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
So...
Like the entire old podcast.
Like the entire old podcast. Which, in a lot of ways, is kind of why we do this one now. So, it kind of makes sense.
This form is a lot more sustainable.
We think. We hope.
We think.
We hope. Unless a pebble comes along and knocks down your entire special when you want to make
well,
one. Except for that.
All that's sustainable is injury.
It's injury. And also in kind of like a similar vein is trying to think out a little bit further for planning. Because I know that there's like a lot of things that we'd like to do. We've talked about it a little bit on the show about having some guests on, or maybe do some specials throughout the year. But more or less doing some long-term planning on those way ahead of time.
Yeah.
To make sure that we actually like have like an actual thing together. Doing all those well ahead of time. I kind of figure, I kind of figure like, well, maybe we should start thinking about the holiday special now for next year.
Yeah.
Just
pretty much.
Just get stuff together.
We're gonna have a hyper overproduced holiday special. We're working on it right now.
We're working on it right now. I'll start that. That way, like, every time, like something happens and we have an opportunity to, like, oh, that would work for this special or that special, we can just start getting stuff together.
You know what we can do, Nathan, is we can do instead of the 12 days of Christmas, we can do the 12 months of Christmas.
The 12 months of Christmas? the 12 pebbles of Kringle. That's 12 pebble knockdowns. That works.
You ruined it.
12
Can't do it anymore.
12 present knockdowns. There you go. We'll do one every month. We'll do a special. That's good. Yeah. On that note, trying not to overextend myself or ourselves in general. Like, there's stuff that we want to do, and we can. I think we can do it pretty easily with a little foresight and just a little bit of planning. But then there's also that part where if you start to overextend yourself and try to do too much too quickly, you end up curled up in a ball on the floor, and I prefer not to do that.
Yeah, floors aren't comfy.
No. Unless you're my cats, then floors are great.
You have really nice carpeting.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not even that. I have cats that just, like, find the wood floor, and they're like, yes. Plop down.
They flop.
Yep. It's all...
Everybody do the flop.
Yeah, everybody just flop down on the floor. It's all fine. It's all fine. So there you go. A little bit of an idea of what we're going to look forward to for resolutions. Or I guess we're going to go with themes. New Year themes we hope to have for the year. Sounds like a better plan. And we're also wondering what kind of themes that you are looking forward to for your new year. So feel free to catch us over on Discord or tell us over with a sound clip on Anchor. And that would work out great. And scene. Scene. Wipe away. All right. Okay.
Quick 5-second breather.
Star wipe. I don't even need my graphics package anymore.
Oh boy.
Oh god, no, Owen Wilson. Go away, Owen Wilson.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow. Hey, Loki, you're looking good.
Hey, Loki, you're looking good over there.
Loki, did you know that this is the time-space continuum? Yeah, it's pretty great.
Alicia went to the university. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh,
Nathan.
was it the stroll into the polls?
No, that's a Let's Game It Out thing.
Oh, okay.
Ray has it clipped and saved somewhere. If she wants to save it in the moderator chat for you, she can.
Great.
It makes her crack up every fucking time. It's older Let's Game It Out.
It's older Let's Game It Out. Oh.
Yeah, it's back when Josh and Anthony were a duo. It wasn't just Josh.
Let us thus game this out.
Back before Josh got super mega crazy famous on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, he blew up real hard.
And then there was the other dude. Whatever happened to him?
He went to do some game design stuff, so.
Oh.
And then Josh started destroying games, and it's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love destroying games with my mind.
With my mind bullets.
Okay. 5-second breather. Has lasted a minute. So. Alright. Moving on.
1 sec.
Sure. I whip my hair back and forth. I whip my hair.
That was cracking the crap out of my neck.
Okay, I got one in. I'm wondering if that was what it was really about when we whip our hair back and forth. If it was just cracking my neck. I cracked my neck back and forth. Yeah. I cracked my neck
vigorously to crack your neck.
Yeah. That was really the hidden message Willow Smith was getting through to us. So, it's good to know. Alright, so why not start off the year right with a soapbox? Don't worry, Alex, you don't have to do a soapbox. We have plenty of game companies to destroy it over the course of the year. We won't do that today.
Good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You can just...
And Kickstarter. We have to destroy Kickstarter next.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of things that we need to go after. There's plenty of stuff to talk about on those fronts and thoughts that we have on those. But today, I'm actually eating a little bit of humble pie. Today on the Soapbox, I'm going to talk about being wrong about a game from my first impressions.
How dare you?
How dare I? Yeah, I've admitted that maybe I was wrong initially on the internet. The lynch mob will come for me now. Oh god, what have I done? But recently, like I was talking about in the first segment, I've been trying to go back to some games that I want to just see if my initial impressions of them were right, wrong, whatever. A little bit ago, a couple of years back, I had started doing like re-reviews where I actually did go back and look at games a second time and give like a numbered score to it, and I'm not going to do that here. But the general idea of being able to go back to a game and look at it again, I like that, because sometimes your first impression is wrong. Now, I can tell you that recently I did try to play Anthem again, and it's not that case. That's pretty much still what I remember it being, and has the same general problems as before. But there was another game, and I wanted to talk about that now. So, for people that are not aware, Epic during December was basically doing like 15 days of free games. And so every day there was going to be a free game. Alex, I'm thinking that you probably tried to pick up as many as you could.
I picked up a few.
Yeah.
A few.
Okay.
Not all of them. Some of them were games I was not interested in at all.
Sure. Yeah. For me, I pretty much just, I picked them up regardless, just because you never know. I might not be feeling it right now, but, one day maybe I'll have an interest in it. There were a couple of them that I had actually played before, and I was like, meh. And then some that I will never... I do not have any interest in playing as of now, but I might change my opinion on in the future, so...
Maybe.
So, yeah. There was, like, Among the Sleep, and I was like, I have no interest in playing it, but I will pick it up, just in case.
Nah, I didn't pick it up.
I was like, I'll pick it up just in case. One of them actually was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, the one-shot, which we got to play on air, so I would have wanted to get that anyway, so that was a good one. And there's some other ones that I'd played before. But anyway, so one of them that came around was Remnant from the Ashes. Now, I don't know if you happened to pick that up when it came out.
Nope.
No, you didn't. Okay. Alright. But, anyway, Remnant from the Ashes, since you're not familiar with it, is a game that came out a couple years back, and it was from Gunfire Games. They are the company that made the Darksiders series. And again, you probably are not very familiar with the Darksiders series. I can't hear you.
Oops. I have a Darksiders Genesis, but other than that, I'm familiar with it, but didn't really play them.
Yeah, Genesis is the worst one. So, sorry to tell you. No, they were very good, and I kind of always say the different Darksiders are basically trying to go with a thematic thing of another game. Like the first Darksiders is kind of like Legend of Zelda, Darksiders 2 is sort of like Diablo, and Darksiders 3 is sort of like Dark Souls. Yeah, but they did this other property, this new IP that kind of dropped out of nowhere and was supposed to be, what did they call it? It was they were saying like Dark Souls with guns. That was the elevator pitch.
Gun Souls.
Gun Souls, exactly. Dark guns. That was the idea behind Remnant from the Ashes. And so I thought to myself, well, I'm familiar with the company, and I'm not really big on Souls-like games. I've started to warm up a little bit more to them now because I've seen different versions of it. But at the time, I was very much in the I don't like these Souls games thing camp. So, but I picked it up because I was familiar with the company, and I was like, well, maybe the guns will help out the situation. Got in there. There's a few different kinds of classes that you can play for like long range, mid range, and close combat. I picked mid range. I think that's the cultist one. And I jumped on in and immediately started wondering exactly what the point of these guns was, because I was just getting bombarded with like a horde of melee combatants in a lot of tight spaces and around some difficult corners, and even some long-range combatants were like hitting me from across the field even though I couldn't reach them. So this was not really working for me, and one of the first places that they take you to is into like a sewer system, so now you're in real close quarters, things around every corner, and that led me to the point where I was like, screw this game, I never want to play it again. The first boss, literally just the first boss that came in, I believe that its name was Gorefist, and it's just this giant juggernaut. They put you in this very enclosed arena, so again, the fact that you have the guns doesn't seem to work very well. And the thing that really annoyed me was that they had all of these little poison explodey guys that would run up to you, explode, and poison you so you take damage over time. And while they're doing that, this giant juggernaut thing just keeps trying to slam into you. And I kept trying a bunch of different things, probably tried 10 different times trying to do this boss. And I got close, like, I was like, ooh, his health bar is really low, and another little explodey poison dude comes, and explodes into the side of me, and I was like, fuck this game forever, and I summarily chucked it in the metaphorical bin past that. It's like, yep, Souls-like suck. That was my general point of view. In the ensuing years, as you might know from some of my other soapboxes, I have realized that I don't necessarily hate Souls-likes, and there are some that I very much enjoyed.
Right.
Thought it had some merit. Code Vein, I thought had some stuff going on. Surge 2, Fallen Order, some good ones that I could actually find enjoyment in. I'm going to talk about one a little later that I did not. But when that came up on the Epic Game Store, I thought to myself, well, I'm gonna pick it up. It's free. I'll put it in my library. Might as well. But out of all the ones that I played, for like the Souls-like games, that was kind of the one that I thought I might have judged a little too early, because I got to that first boss and I bailed. So I played it for a few hours and then I bailed on it. Ranked very low that year on my best to worst list, but I thought I'll give it another try, and I'll try something a little different this time. Now I'm familiar with the game. I'm familiar that I'm going to get bombarded by these little freaking jerks that just like...
I assume you took close combat.
Exactly. I took the Scrapper model this time. And Scrapper is really interesting. It has more like heavy armor, and it focuses on having this giant hammer, a big old hammer, and you get a shotgun, and you get a little auto pistol out of the game. So I'm like, okay, well, this is going to help out a lot with those close combat scenarios. And summarily went back into the game and started playing it again. And when I initially got in there, I was like, okay, I know how this works a little bit better, and I'm also a little familiar with the enemies, but the game felt a little different than it did before. And as I was going through, I got to the sewers, and all of a sudden now I have my little shotgun handy, and I have my big smack'em stick, and I was realizing, okay, well, these guys that are bombarding me, they're not such a pain now. I can kind of deal with it. And also, for the record, something I had actually kind of forgotten. Usually in the Souls games, you figure if you die, there's going to be something that you leave behind, and you have to go back and pick it up. They actually don't do that in this game. If you die at any point, they'll reset you to the last checkpoint, and all the monsters will respawn. But you keep all of your money, you keep your experience, you keep all of your... You keep everything, basically.
Oh.
So it's actually kind of nice because you don't play as close to the vest as you do in a lot of Souls games. You figure, I'll just plow on, and if I die, alright, I'll go back to the previous checkmark.
So it's Souls Light.
It's Souls Light, yeah, because that is definitely one of those elements that you figure is going to be in every Souls game. They do have essentially their version of Estus flasks and all of that stuff, and checkpoints, and all of those things. So, a lot of similarities, but the penalty for dying is very, very low. So it kind of helps with the pacing issue, because I always felt like that was a pacing issue in general. Then I died, then I have to go back to the spot where I died, and maybe I want to go a completely different direction. Well, you can in this. Right. So I get to the point where I'm going to have to go up against that Gorefist jerk again. And I get in there, into that combat arena. It's not Gorefist. It is a different boss. And this one, I don't really remember its name, but basically this is a little warpy dude. And little warpy dude is going around these catwalks and just trying to hit me with some, long-range attacks and sending some minions out towards me. And I was like, okay, this is a different one. And I could kind of see how I could defeat the boss, so it took a few tries, but I did. I got it, and finished that, and moved on to the next section. Now, what I didn't know the first time I had played this game is that there are actually alternate bosses when you get to certain areas. You might end up, depending on which route you take and the scenario, you might end up fighting Boss A or Boss B, with different kinds of modifiers for each one of them. So, different scenarios entirely. So, I had gotten the Gorefist on the first one, and I got little stalker sniper dude in the second one, which was more doable. So, that was something I didn't know about. Apparently, there's a way you can even re-roll the campaign from the start if you wanted to see if you get other options or different layouts for the maps and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is why it feels a little bit different this time. So kept playing, got to other bosses, and I think it was the second set of bosses after like the Root Mother or something, and now I'm in this arena where there's a bunch of these little guys that are coming at me, and every time you hit them enough, they split apart, and now there's two of them. And I am annoyed by these. Yeah.
Yeah, gelatinous cubes.
Yeah, basically these are gelatinous cubes, but they're root monsters. And I try that a bunch of times, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with all of this. I can't shoot them fast enough, and I felt that coming back. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to go back to base, because there's another thing that they have in there, which is an adventure mode. And you can keep your character and everything, and you keep your campaign progress. But if you want to play individual worlds at whatever, difficulty level you want, and go and, do different quests or try to reroll quests or anything, you can do adventure mode and have like a side thing that you're doing.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll try playing that for a little bit. And I went to a completely different area I had not even gotten to in the story mode. And started getting equipment and stuff that I would have not gotten yet in the story mode. And kept playing that. And then, once I played that for a little while, went back to the campaign, and I was actually in a better position. I could actually destroy the next boss and so on. And so, got quite a bit through, like, even one of the main bosses, which are always the same. Big Fire Dog, in this particular case. Big Fire Dog. That's all you need to know. Singe, I think his name is. And, moved on to the next area. And what I started to realize is, boy, I've been playing this for quite a bit. And as you start to realize that there's, like, special weapons that you can uncover, if you do some of the side quests, or you know where they are, I was like, oh, cool, now I have this little, like, little minigun thing, and I've got the Chicago typewriter, which is like a machine gun, but it gets more accurate. It's like the, the Hyperion weapons in Borderlands. Yeah, those. It gets more accurate as you go along, and I'm upgrading my gear, and I'm doing all of these things. And I started to realize, actually, this is kinda good? Surprisingly? This is kinda good, and it gives you enough options with being able to, like, re-roll the adventure mode as many times as you want, and try the 3 different lands that comes out of, or, going in different directions with the campaign, or, trying different models, that if you didn't like it the first time, it would actually lend itself to being able to try some other things and do some other things. It was like they almost knew that if you had a problem at any point, that they will give you almost an alternative that might be better suited for you. And then also, I had forgotten that they actually did use all those crystals that you encounter, essentially your bonfires, as fast travel points too. So you can warp back and forth. It's something I liked in Code Vein, and I liked it here. So I guess what I'm saying is I actually recommend Remnant from the Ashes, which is a thing I didn't think I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah, but here we are. I
feel like we need to add a clip somewhere of what you said about it before.
Yeah, I think I have that. I'm sure I do. Some people are really going to hate that I put it this far down the list. But Remnant from the Ashes is on here right near the bottom. Not the very bottom, we're getting there. But Remnant from the Ashes for me was everything I didn't like about Dark Souls with nothing of the redeeming qualities. Oh, but it's Dark Souls with guns, Nathan. Yeah, guns that suck. Guns that take forever to reload, that have like 3 shots. What? And considering the focus on melee combat for most of the enemies you come across, I'd rather have had my sword and shield at this point. You know how in Dark Souls people really like the idea that there were multiple paths you could take to different objectives, you didn't have to go in one linear line? Well, Remnant fixed that by having basically one tunnel system that you can access in 2 different places, and they lead to the same damn boss battle. And I gotta tell you, if you can get through that very first boss battle and not hate yourself or this game, more power to you. I just lost it. It feels cheap and tedious and pointless and completely unrefined. You should have just played Dark Souls, folks. Remnant it adds nothing to the conversation, it adds nothing to the dialogue, and is one of the worst versions of a Souls-like game I have ever
played. And it's ironic because I played Darksiders 3, which is also from Gunfire Games, and they took similar elements from Dark Souls, and I like that, maybe because it had some DMC added in there with all of like the kicks and the whips and everything. I don't know. The point is that Remnant just feels clunky, and I did not like it, and it's the worst version of a Souls game I could imagine. I hope.
I think it was...
Insert short clip here of Nathan saying how bad this game is.
Yeah, insert a short clip here so that you can hear me indeed say that I was not a fan. But yes, I have changed my opinion on that. And it's one of the reasons why I decided this year I want to go back and play some other games that I tried before, and I might want to just give it a second go to see if maybe I dismissed it too quickly or judged it too harshly. I don't know if you've ever had a case like that where you played a game and then just went back to it later to see if it was okay or not, or if you just did
I definitely have games in my library that I've played for a bit of time. I was like, all right, well, I played too long to refund it, so I can't refund it and return it. So I'm gonna keep it, and maybe it'll get better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll get better.
Yeah.
So I've definitely got some of those. So I feel you.
Yeah. And sometimes you figure maybe it will just get better because they'll actually patch it or update it or put more content in. But sometimes, and Remnant is, as far as I'm familiar, it hasn't really changed that much from its original concept when I played it. It's just that looking at it again and taking it in looking at it with a different set of eyes and a new perspective, the way I was playing it, I could appreciate it more. And now, actually, the ironic thing is, when you get to later stages, if you can get past those first things with the sewer systems and the giant mauler dude, you don't actually... It becomes more feasible to have a mid-range or a long-range character, because things start to open up a little bit. So you may find that some of these games actually are pretty good, but they might not give you the best first impression. And so I'll probably play more of them over the course of time. I might end up talking about them on the show, I'm not sure, or do something with them, maybe on Titanium Mine. And discuss them in more detail. But this was just one of those where I was like, yeah, okay, I guess sometimes our first impression is wrong. And being able to go back and see is useful. It kind of gives you a better perspective on games that you might not get if you just kind of play them for 5 minutes and then just dismiss them out of hand and never talk about them ever again. And previously I had done that with things like Fallout 76 and those, and I had gone back and played it again. It doesn't always work out. It's not always an improvement. But it's interesting to see if it actually did improve, or it did do anything more than what it had done originally. Chances are, if I remember correctly though, you have a tendency to play games once they've been out for a little bit.
Yeah, I more or less like it when the game's been out. I don't generally pick them up when they first come out.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's something I've been looking forward to, because I prefer to buy games when they're on sale.
Yeah.
But I also know, especially newer games or newer studios, that, launches typically come with a bunch of bugs.
Yeah. And they need more polish. They need more polish. And so, since they need more polish, I kind of figured that they're not going to do that initially anyway, and we've talked about this on the show, but just the general idea that, yeah, I don't jump right on them. But then there are these cases where they'll be on Game Pass, or they'll be like a free deal or something on one of my subscriptions, and I'll be like, well, I might as well pick it up now and see if it's any good. Remnant was one of those cases. I pretty much played it the second it had come out because it was on my Game Pass, and so I played it, and I was not happy with it. And looking back on it now, realized that maybe because it was fresh and new and I didn't necessarily understand what it was doing, and I've changed some of my tastes in games over the course of time, it's actually good.
Yeah.
It's actually good. So, first impressions can be deceiving, folks. That's basically what this soapbox is saying. So there's that. Okay. I think we can do one more segment. And
one more thing.
Yes. So yes, we have one more thing to talk about. Yes. So if anyone remembers no one does. I'll just say
No.
We had done a live episode last year where we were going back over the decade. Maybe 2 years ago. We're going back over the decade, and we were taking a game from each of the years to do a game of Saveberry Reboot on. And so, kind of the top-selling games of each year, and we asked which one you want to save, which one you want to bury, and which one you want to reboot. You probably need more explanation than that. Okay, that's fine. So, game that you save is a game that works great the way it is. It's good, you like it, and no notes. Basically, it's a no notes kind of game. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to revamp it. You don't have to do a new version of the Star Wars or the Indiana Jones where you go back and CGI stuff in. You can keep it the way it was to begin with. Bury is the game that goes in the desert with ET cartridges and is lost to all time, and you will not feel bad about it. And then the Reboot is a game that had a lot of potential when you played it, and you could see that potential, but needed a complete makeover, and you're hoping that it gets it one day.
Yeah.
What we decided to do for this Saveberry Reboot for the beginning of the year is to look at games, not that necessarily came out in 2021, but games we played in 2021, and choose one of those games to save, to bury, and to reboot. So,
do you want to do this in that order, or would you like to do it in a different order than save, bury, reboot?
Which order would you like to do it in?
Either or. I'm just not sure if you want to do what we want to reboot first, then bury it, and then save for last. So you can be like, oh yeah.
We want to save for last? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it that way.
Sure, we can do that.
Because then you get the best for last.
You save the best for last.
Yeah.
Does that mean you want to...
exactly. That's it. Save, bury, reboot. Save the best for last.
Save, bury, reboot, and you save the best for last. Okay. Do you want to start with bury then, to start with the worst thing?
Oh, sure. We can do that.
Let's start with the worst and work our way up to the best.
Do you want to start with bury?
I'd like to start with bury, actually. So I was kind of going back and forth with this, and there were definitely ones that came out this year that I was thinking about burying, but I'll eventually be doing like a best to worst of 2021 video, and I can talk about all that there. There is, however, a game that came out a year or two back that I perchance wanted to play, see if it was any good. Happens to be a Souls-like game.
Oh boy.
And after playing it, I was like, yeah, no, please never do this again. I would really prefer you didn't. That game is Mortal Shell, which kind of makes sense that it's called Mortal Shell when we're burying it. So the problem with Mortal Shell is that it kind of takes a lot of the things that a Dark Souls does. You know, it's very stilted combat. You know, it's got the linear pathways that you're going down, and you're trudging along in this like heavy armor. The concept is that you get new shells. You're basically like this, I don't know what, you're like a mannequin with abs, and you inhabit these different shells, and the first one that you get happens to be this knight that has a big old sword. Yeah. And when you're fighting in combat, you then have the, combat abilities of that character.
That shell, as you will.
The shell. And if you take enough damage, you get thrown out of your shell, and you can try to reclaim your shell before you die, because you are now naked and exposed, and you have to get back in your shell. But usually, once you get back in your shell, the enemies are all on you anyway, and then kill you for realsies this time, and you get sent back to whatever checkpoint you were at. It was one of those games that felt like it took the aspects I hated about Dark Souls the most and said, yeah, it's just this. It's just those things. Just the branching pathways, but it feels like there's no good options therein. You drop stuff when you go away. You have to like reclaim your shell, and then just like a lot of places where I was just falling off the edge or something like that, and now I'm just stuck in a bunch of trees. These random places where you'll end up with like a boss monster. And I'm gonna try to run past the boss monster, get whatever's in the chest. Oh, it wasn't that good, and now the boss monster kills me. And if I have to get my stuff back, I have to go and take care of the boss monster again. There's poison frogs that just explode on you. They just look at you, and you walk up to them. Hello, little frog friend. Explode in your face.
Do that too if I were that frog.
Yes, exactly. And there were upgrades that you could get in some of those chests, for that matter, where it would, upgrade the basic components of your gear, but they didn't seem to do much in practice. You could add, like, some poison damage and things, but when you're getting attacked long range from most of these people and you're a melee build, being able to poison them is like, okay, now I guess I'll sneak away. Like, at first I thought that there was something to this, and then as I played more and more and realized that the checkpoints are kind of few and far between anyway, and not really even quite knowing what the point of the game was, I was like, you know what, we can probably bury this for all eternity, and I will not feel bad. Now, granted, this might end up being a Remnant situation, and in a couple of years I'll be going, actually, it's brilliant, but I can tell you, the way I feel right now, Mortal Shell can go to the reservoir where all the...
Can go to the mortal hell.
It can phone home. That's what we're going to...
It can E.T.
It can fall down that pit that E.T. would fall in the game. And I will not shed a tear. So that was my berry. What do you have, Alex?
Well, I also had a couple I was going to go back and forth on. And one that I wanted to pick, but I haven't played it since 2018, so I can't pick that. But boy, I wish I could. So for me, my berry is a game that falls into the crafting survival genre of games.
Oh, okay.
Because, there's a bajillion of them.
Yeah.
It's a open world survival crafting, magic fantasy, first person. Yeah. Anyways, the game is called Alchemist's Awakening.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've seen this game.
No.
It came out in 2019. I played it this year though. It's kind of like a Minecraft clone type of game. It's not the same graphics as Minecraft. It's not the block. It's not great graphics by any means. But it looked interesting in premise because it's like, oh, you get magic and you can create stuff and you can make spells and stuff. I'm like, okay, this looks interesting, and I bought it, and I even bought Crave a copy of it because it was cheap.
Right.
And so I get into it because I try and play games, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, alright, you're on this island, and its controls are really weird, and then the monsters are really janky, and the magic is really strange, and then the crafting is really strange, and everything doesn't work. None of it works as well as you want it to, and the controls are just really janky. So it's like, cool. You need this element. You need to like go destroy things in the world to take their elemental properties, I guess, or whatnot, and then you can craft with those. Then trying to place stuff down in the world The rotation doesn't always work the way you want it to, so you have to fuck around with it a whole lot. And it's just really strange.
Yeah. It doesn't work the way you want it to work.
No, none of it did. And it's like, all right, but there's also no objectives. The tutorial
Perfect.
was really bad. It's like, do I have a quest? No. Okay. So I don't really need to do anything. Do I need to eat? No, I don't think I need to eat. Okay. Yeah. Well, then there's no reason to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I kind of see what they're going for.
Sure.
And like, it looked interesting, but it just did not deliver on any front.
Right.
The other game I was going to debate on putting on that berry list was also an open world survival crafting game.
Oh, yeah?
Because these are games I want to love.
Oh, I getcha. I usually see like open world survival crafting game, and I think to myself, cool. I want that.
Yeah, it's like I want to do the things that you guys say that you're doing.
Yeah.
But you're not delivering on any of the fronts I want you to.
No.
So many of them fall short. Actually, there was a third game too, which was also a open world survival game that I was contemplating. So all three of the games I would bury or wanted to put on this berry list were open world survival. The other one, I'm going to mention one of them.
Sure.
The other one was Eco.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which I played a bit about. Visually it's nice. It's Minecraft-esque in style, which it's fine. I have no problem with that. It looks visually appealing. But the problem I have with it is that it's super, super granular.
Yeah.
And it's got such a level of granularity in the crafting mechanics that it's like, I do not want to build a house brick by brick. I mean, it's not brick by brick itself, but
Right, but it's like you have to collect certain number of bricks, or you have to build the bricks to the...
It's you have to place each individual part of the house, and then if you get the rotation wrong on it,
you're screwed.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Games like Minecraft. Minecraft obviously has been around for like a decade now. That one's really simple.
Yeah.
But it makes it accessible. It's like you can make things in Minecraft that look amazing.
Oh, yeah. You certainly can.
People have made full-scale replicas of cities or, full-functioning video calling devices. They've ordered pizza through Minecraft.
Oh, sure.
Video.
Yeah.
Calling people, you can remake all of Pokemon in Minecraft.
Yeah, I know.
But when you have a game that's like, yeah, we're going to be granular to the point of excessiveness, and then like, oh yeah, well, you just chopped down a tree. And if you're going to do this yourself, you need to make several trips back and forth from that one down tree to carry all of that wood back. And it's like, I get it. I adore the idea here, but I do not want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if it was a game that I played this year, which it wasn't, it was a couple of years back, there was one, I don't know if you ever tried Conan Exiles.
No.
But that also has very much I need to, like, spend an inordinate amount of time collecting these resources so I can build a thatched roof. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. And ironically, though, there was one actually this year, I'll talk about it on my best of list, that's kind of like an open world survival game that I can't tell you is like brilliant, but is also kind of addictive to play. Because they kind of hit the sweet spot of not making it too in the weeds, but like constantly giving you stuff to do.
The one reason that Eco is not my berry, or like the bottom tier of this barrel, is because it is designed to be played with multiple people. And like it functions best when played with multiple people, but unless you're playing with a bunch of people, I don't see it as a contender.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I had some other berries that I was thinking about, some that were ones that came out this year that it were just like, nope, just not happening. But, like, I did contemplate, like, putting the Avengers as this one. Because, I mean, I played it for a good amount of time, but at the end of the day, if it didn't exist, I don't think anyone would lose sleep over it. Like, really, just because it's basically, well, you could always just play Destiny. Like, you can pretty much just play Destiny, or third-person Destiny, so Outriders. There's like a game for everything, every single one of it. But I realized that at the end of the day, I didn't feel as strongly about that one, so... But I guess we can talk about reboots.
Yes, let's reboot.
Bing! I gotta insert
like
the little...
podcast is done.
Yeah. Yeah. Total Pebble or Knockdown. That's what we should have called it. Anyway, I also had a couple of ideas for reboots from a couple of games that I was playing, some older games. But the one that I realized was probably the more pertinent one was actually Stalker Shadows of Chernobyl. Now, the reason why I say reboot that, and we are actually going to be getting a sequel that looks terrific, but I'm talking about literally rebooting the original game, is I think the modern graphics and the modern user interfaces that they could do for this and the improvements would help the game itself, the original game, far, far more than just a sequel will. The thing that it did very interestingly is kind of create this world where it's kind of a survival game, a lot of shooting that's involved, very much a shooter, but kind of like in an open world. Just kind of going around and completing these missions, but the fact is that the user interface and your inventory screens, it looks very dated. It feels very dated when you're playing it. But that doesn't mean that it didn't have some really great concepts. There are like literally these areas that are just radioactive pockets, like dimensional pockets almost, that you don't want to step in, and you can actually like test with these little like lug nuts that you keep on you. You can test them to see where the fields are. You would go to these abandoned factories, but they're overrun by raiders, and now you're in a firefight in a side mission with some other characters. There are areas that you can't get to immediately because there's just like electric storms or, fallen wires, stuff like that. There's a lot of good ideas there, and a lot of interesting ways that you could play it or adapt to different situations or get around them. And I liked the concept. I liked the world that they were building, and what they're doing with the sequel does look very, very impressive. But literally, I would like to see them take the hardware essentially they're using for Stalker 2 and do a new version of the original Stalker, because I think it would be way easier to play and more intuitive if they did that. And it's still a worthwhile game and a storyline that you could get around a lot easier if they rebooted it. So there's that. What was your pick for a reboot?
So for me, it's more of a soft reboot, I want to say, because I enjoy the core, and I think most of the game is fine. But for me, I am actually choosing one that came out earlier this year.
Oh, okay.
Which is New World.
New World. Okay, interesting. I have not gotten a chance to play it, but I know you and a few other people were. So
the core of it is fun. It is a fun, engaging game.
Mm-hmm.
The crafting mechanics and a lot of the game systems are well done. The biggest issue is their focus.
Sure.
Where you've got really in-depth crafting and town mechanics where you can build up the towns and you can control the towns and run the towns.
Sure.
And all of that. But then you've also got large-scale factional conflicts between 3 factions.
Mm.
So they kind of mix the hardcore PvP aspect of the game with a super casual aspect that makes it so this middle ground doesn't really function well. And either you need to have dedicated PvP servers or not, but then the biggest thing there is the factional wars between the different factions for controls over the territories and towns and the forts. So it's really a PvP driven game, except that makes it really unbalanced for people playing on the other factions, because it's suddenly, if you own all these territories, it's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna switch to that faction because now I get my discounts and all the things in that faction.
Sure.
For instance, so they really didn't have a solid focus, I think, on that. And then one of the things is all the towns had different banks, and they had different auction houses on each of them, which I now linked them because honestly they were dumb.
Yeah.
But like, they have all these MMOs over the years that have failed or done well, and they haven't learned the lessons from them.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna build an MMO and make it free to play, that's fine. I'm great model, cosmetics and loot boxes, whatever, I don't care. For people who want to buy this, that's fine. I don't care about their monetary decision. But they went from having a huge launch to, I think someone, I was listening to someone the other day saying they've lost about 90% of their player base.
Oh.
Since launch.
It's never good.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And they've had to already crunch some of their servers together because there's just not enough people playing on disparate servers for them to even... Again, the factional conflicts is a huge part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think in some servers, and in the one I am playing on, or did play on, I'm not playing as much, but like, mine was pretty evenly split up between the three factions.
Yeah.
And they were doing well, and I logged in the other day, and it was like, all right, now my faction is no longer controls any territories on this because they've crunched it and it's different players, and now it's the other two factions, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Great.
That's great. Like, they have a big old housing system too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did I die?
Shortly. You're back.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're back.
You're back.
You froze for a second. Anyways,
You froze for a second too. No, you.
one of the things is that, like, player housing, you can buy a house, but then you get taxed on it.
Oh.
Which is, again, fine, but make it, like, monthly
Yeah.
or bi-weekly. Don't make it an every week thing.
Sure.
Because all that does is encourage people who aren't gonna only play casually to not buy houses at all.
Right.
And people who are playing all the time are not gonna care.
Right.
But then, like, the other thing too is there's not any NPC vendors.
Oh, okay.
So instead of having vendors you can buy and sell items to, it's all the market. So it becomes the entire economy is based on the supply and demand of players.
Oh, okay, okay.
So gold becomes essentially useless unless you're buying items on the auction house in the market.
Right. Okay.
If you're not buying anything on it, the only thing to spend money on is your house.
Ah.
Yeah.
Alright. Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of interesting ideas, but not necessarily executed to the best of their ability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a soft reboot because the game, again, the core systems and the gameplay loops and everything, they do feel nice. It plays well. I enjoy the combat. You know, that's all fine. But definitely needs some tweaks and a refocusing on what they think is what the players want. And what the players are going to do, and then rebalancing that to make it so it's more accessible and will keep players playing for longer than the last 4 months.
Right. I think all those players that jumped off of New World apparently went to play Final Fantasy XIV.
Jeez. Maybe.
Had you heard the story about Final Fantasy IV? Because they just put out the new, Endwalker or whatever the expansion was.
Yeah.
They had to stop selling it in stores because their servers were so overrun that they couldn't take on more players. So they were like, and the people that weren't even able to get into the servers, they were like, well, we'll offer you some free months. We're sorry, but we literally can't hold anybody more.
Yeah, it's like, can you please hold? We
Please
need to get
hold.
more servers.
We didn't know it was going to be this big a deal. We literally have to stop selling the game. We can't sell any more games. We have to put a hiatus on it. Yeah.
Yeah. For the reference, I did just look at concurrent WoW players for 2021. And October was 5.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
September was 6.5. August was 6.7. And the last 30 days is an average of 6 million concurrent players. Monthly.
Yeah. A lot of money.
So that's people paying for subscriptions in a game that's been out for a while. And, as much as we, again, have not discussed how much hot water Blizzard is in and how much we are dissatisfied with Blizzard, I mentioned to Ray the other day, it's like one of the reasons I constantly go back to play World of Warcraft is because there's enough content there and it's done in such a decent manner that I can play and always find something I want to do.
Right. Blizzard, if you want to go into either business practices, their the way that they work with their fan bases, or
treat people,
or treat literally their fans, their staff, their really pretty much everybody, or just how they decide to do products launches anymore, or like what they do to support their games, or really any aspects. Hey, you know what? Bobby Kotick got his $100 million whatever thing. So
he's gone, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think he's still gonna get his money.
I mean, severances for CEOs and those always.
Oh yeah, they
always get their money, but
it's gonna
get the fuck out of the company, please.
Yeah, I know, but.
Anyway, that's for a different soapbox.
Different soapbox. We're not even doing the soapbox segment right now. But okay, so new world though. Needs a little bit of a soft reboot.
If it sounds deep sale and you want to get it to try it, you might enjoy it.
Trying it, yeah.
It's worth trying.
Okay.
And you don't pay monthly, so I mean, that's the big thing there.
Yeah. The other one that I was thinking about mentioning for Reboot, but it's not as much of a major one, was Elix, which is actually getting an Elix 2. They are going to be, Piranha Bytes is making an Elix 2, so it's kind of getting that. But again, really interesting concept of like a near futuristic, almost like a fantasy cyber world, open world, epic RPG kind of thing that they were doing.
Sure.
But needed better controls and needed a richer, more interesting storyline and characters and stuff, and could have used a little bit more polish on top of that. But I thought Stalker would be the more major change for me. Okay, so now we actually end on a high note. We get to talk about what we're saving. I actually played a lot of really good games. This is not even necessarily my favorite game of the year, but it is a game that came out this year, and the reason why I picked it for my save is because this is, again, a no notes. They really don't have to touch it. I think what it is perfect the way it is, and they don't have to do anything to it.
Right.
No
I'm gonna laugh if this goes along with the one I picked.
Okay. No, it's not, because I know you haven't picked this. I don't think you've played this at all. It's The Ascent.
Oh no, I think it might be on my wish list though.
Yeah. So the reason The Ascent is not necessarily, when I get to my games of 2021, I think it's maybe third or fourth down the list in terms of my favorite games. But the thing about it is that I don't feel like The Ascent really needs to touch anything that it did. When Neon Giant, it's like their first game, came out with this as a concept, I think that the concept is just good on its face, and what it does as a twin-stick shooter is probably the best version of a twin-stick shooter that you're going to get. It has very nice RPG elements. The world, I'm very, very impressed with the way they built this world. The number of assets on screen at any time, especially when you get into the cities, like these giant, massive, like cyberpunk conglomerate cities that are just vast with like just multiple levels and so many people just doing things all over the place. It's really, really impressive, the vistas that they give you, and just the general idea of going from literally ascending up this very Blade Runner-esque kind of world that they're going for. I can't tell you that it's necessarily the greatest game of all time, but what it does, trying to be a twin-stick shooter with those RPG elements and adding in new things and going to other places and doing all of that, it's the best version of it that you will ever have, and there's no reason they would ever have to touch or refine it from what it was when it originally came out. So, very impressed with the Ascent. If you like twin-stick shooters, or if you like action games, because it does have a little bit of, like, almost Diablo style, sort of like that, but with guns, sort of atmosphere. I think it does a lot really well, and I'm very impressed. I know that they were industry veterans when they started the game, but as a new studio, Neon Giant really made the game that they wanted. They said that this was like, we have the freedom to kind of like do whatever we want. This is what we want to do. And they did it to the best version out of the gate that I could have asked for. So I am choosing to save the Ascent. And now I'm very curious as to what you're saving.
Well, so my game didn't come out this year. It came out in 2017, but I didn't play it till this year.
Oh, okay. Cool.
The game I wanted to save obviously doesn't need any, it's not going to be touched because it's been out for several years.
Right.
It happened to be Nier Automata.
Automata? I think I don't know.
Automata, whatever. It's Nier.
Yes.
Because I hadn't played that till this year because I just hadn't been interested in it. And then I was like, maybe it's on sale. I think I got it. And it's like,
oh, yeah.
You know, I think we had talked about it before. And you're like, oh, no, it's so good.
It's really good, yeah. It's so good.
I haven't played all the way through, like, 9S's story. So, like, I haven't fully finished all the arcs in it. I know there's
more. Yeah.
1A or whatever. A1. Steak sauce.
A2.
After.
A2. A2, yeah. A2.
I've listened to things, so I know a lot of what's going to happen coming up. And it's still, spoilers don't spoil things for me. It's like I can still experience it and get the feels for me,
Sure.
But overall, as a gaming experience, from the environmental details to the music, and how it's portrayed, both the scores and how it's the diegetic and it's part of the game, but part of not, like, part of the UI too.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. The combat is just amazing, fluid.
So good.
Just the story plays out really well. All the plot threads going through there, just obviously it's reviewed highly on everything, I assume.
Oh yeah.
It's a very positive 70,000 reviews.
It was pretty beloved when it came out, which is interesting because, like, there was an original Nier game that I actually had played that is a little bit different from this, and it was one of those hidden gems that most people missed when it originally came out. And so when I would see different things in Nier Automata that reminded me of that first game, I'm like, oh, a lot of people are probably experiencing this for the first time. But I did very much love the fact that there's so many things in that game that feel like real interesting philosophical conversations about humanity while you're talking about basically automatons and robots discussing humanity, and it's so well done how they do that story. But
and then obviously spoilers for a several-year-old game now. Like, I was like, guessing throughout the whole thing that humanity was dead the whole time. Because I was like, oh, it's a recording, obviously. They're probably fucking dead up there. They're not alive anymore. And then you find out that, the humans died a long time ago, but, we're just trying to not let the androids go insane, essentially.
Right. We're basically, we're fighting this giant war for people that don't exist anymore.
Yeah, and then the aliens are also dead. I'm like, all right, didn't actually see that one coming. I mean, I think... So it's basically the robots are just, like, gaining sentience, and it's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So, like, even without the philosophical stuff, because, I hit or miss for me, I cannot care about it as much. It's not as important to me as the gameplay, typically. But, like, the gameplay is just great, because it's like, you will question a lot of times what you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially with the internal monologues of, like, 9S and then 2B. And obviously later on it comes out to light that exactly what 2B's purpose is with 9S anyways, so it's like, oh, that's actually more heartbreaking now.
Oh yeah, and the thing is that you haven't gotten to those points, I'm pretty sure, but there are moments by the time you get to like the D story or like the E story by the end, where there are moments where you're like, whoa, okay. I'm trying to think, was it Pascal, whoever the little robot is that you help out with his village? There's a later moment in the game with him where it's just like, oh god, I don't even know what to do with all of that, or what this even means. But the fact is that that's an excellent one. I'm kind of
later on when he begs you to kill him.
Okay, you've gotten to that point. Okay.
Either I have or heard about it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a hard one. That is a hard one. It does make me really... I have not played Replicant yet.
Right.
I definitely will pick it up at some point to play it. I'm just very impressed with... The whole thing, really, just as an overall package, they did such a great job with Automata. Just from... In each aspect. How they...
Well, that is why Nier Automata is my save.
Excellent.
I figured you'd be impressed and happy with that one.
Yeah, I am happy to hear about that.
There are a bunch of other games that I would obviously love to save, like Curse of the Dead Gods and so many other games. But yeah, I was like, no, I'll pick this.
Oh yeah. Nier Automata was really good. There's probably other ones that I would say. Well, my favorite games for the year that came out this year, but there's a lot of really good ones. I think if it comes on Epic, because I know we're recording this from the past. You're hearing this from the past, but there should be a game I think coming out tomorrow or the next day for the Epic free game, which is going to be Prey. And since it's free, I would suggest popping it in your library anyway. Pathfinder and Kingmaker, I think, comes out tomorrow.
I already have Kingmaker.
Okay.
I got that. I think I backed it on Kickstarter.
Oh, okay. Vampire, I did pick up today, just because...
Yep, just grabbed that too.
I have played it, and I think, depending on your sensibilities, you'll like it. But it does depend on how... But Prey, when that releases in a day or two, you might as well just pop that into your inventory, because it was my favorite game in 2017, even though Nier Automata was out there. So
I'll be sure I grab it if it pops up then.
Although I hadn't played Automata at that point, so it probably would have been my favorite game had I played it at that time. But at the time, I went over those games. But yeah, no, Prey is pretty impressive. Arcane usually does a really good job, almost all the time. I heard mixed things about Deathloop, but anyway. But that's neither here nor there. I didn't play Deathloop, so I can't put it on my Save Berry Reboot scale here. Yeah, so that's good. I'm just glad that there were games worth saving at all that I played this year. That's really all I care about.
Right.
That's all I care about. So I'm now curious about all of you. If you are out there and want to play a little game of that too, think back on the games that you played from 2021 and let me know what your pick would be to save, bury, and reboot and the reasons why. You can catch us over on our Discord channel, or you can even leave a voice clip for us over on our Anchor page. Feel free to do that. So, this is how we decide to kick off 2022, Alex.
With an extra long episode?
We'll see. We'll see how long that ends up being once we're done. I guess you'll know in the future. You know more than I do. Future listeners. But in the meantime, for all of the future listeners, right now, at this very juncture, where could they go to get more knocking down of pebbles?
You can find more of all of this and other things over at totalpebbleknockdown.com. And while you are there, you can check out a lot of the other projects that we have going on. I will give you a little bit of a heads up that later in January, for Titanium Mine, I should have both a video and an audio version of my best to worst list for games that I played that came out in 2021. The reason I haven't done that quite yet is just because there are a few others I was kind of hoping to play around with before I make that list, but I can tell you that I'm at about, 27 games right now that are on that list. That's going to be a long episode. There you go.
Get used to that. And if you've heard me talk about a few of them, you probably know what's like in the top third and the bottom third. But you can listen for some of that, as well as a couple other things I'm going to be doing for probably some of these games that I've been replaying, because I want to talk about them. And we're hoping to have a few other features on there in the ensuing months. We'll talk to you more about those soon. And feel free to click on our Patreon button, banner, whatever we have. Is it banner or button?
Or you can go to the About Me page, and then there's both.
There's a thing on the About Me page, too. You can check us out on Patreon. There are much longer video presentations of the entire episode over there, and you do get...
we know that's what you want.
That's what you all want. There are people that listen to that. I know that that's true. And you do get them a little bit ahead of time, so that's always fun as well. And for any of the bonus content, you'd also find it over there, exclusively over there. If you want to hear the Rambleathon in the middle of all of these episodes, well, or in the beginning, most likely, you'd find it over on our Patreon. You can also find us on social media. I am pretty much at any location at Titanium.
I thought you were going to say Titanium Mine for some reason. I am at EXP Limited, and our show and us in general are at Pebble Knockdown.
Yes, and so feel free to check us out there. Join our public Discord server and Snerver? What did I say? There
Discord Snerver.
Yeah, the Discord snarf. Our Discord snarf, and you too can join in the conversation. And look forward to also our live episodes, the first Saturday of the month this year. Yeah. This month, however, since the first is the first Saturday, and I'm pretty sure that New Year's is a little too hectic, I think we're going to be doing that on the 8th instead. How does that sound, Alex?
Yeah, we can do that. We hadn't really discussed that, but that should be fine.
Okay, yeah, for our live episode. And my plan is that all of you get to see how it feels the first time I try playing Cyberpunk.
Oh, dear.
Because I do have it, and I am actually very curious and kind of excited to see, now that it's been out for a year or so, how I feel about it, having not played it at all up to this point. I'm curious. I do like epic RPGs, and I do generally like CD Projekt Red. Again, not necessarily a lot of their practices and things like that, but the games, like Witcher 3 a lot, I am very curious about Cyberpunk, and I know that there are a lot of people, even in our audience, that did play it and enjoy it. I will be interested to know if I'm either pleasantly surprised or disappointed more than I imagined. So look forward to that as well. I think we can actually wrap up this extra long episode for the start of the year. Hopefully this will not be a trend for the episodes past this. But we did have a lot that we needed to get through. We had a lot of things to bury and reboot.
Yes, we did.
Not as many to save. That makes me sad. I don't know if I want to give game companies a lot of incentive to reboot, because I know how that usually ends out.
Terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to play that San Andreas Definitive Edition.
Oh boy.
Yeah. The rain hurts my eyes. Let's put it to you that way.
Does it still hurt your eyes?
It still does. Yep. So anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye for now, everybody.
Bye.